Welcome to the Healthy Happy Hour podcast with your hosts, Victoria McCullough and Leandra Jackson, your go-to girlfriends for all things fitness, nutrition, and natural wellness. They believe that getting older doesn't mean slowing down. It means getting stronger, healthier, and more vibrant. Each week, they'll share practical tips, real conversations, and simple habits to help you feel your best inside and out. From workouts that fit your lifestyle, to nourishing your body with wholesome foods, to discovering the power of essential oils and natural doTERRA products. They're here to help you age with energy, confidence, and joy. Grab your favorite healthy drink, pull up a chair, and toast to living well and thriving through every season of life together.
Ready to go. 3, 2, 1. Morning. Welcome to our April Healthy Happy Hour. Healthy Happy Hour. I'm Victoria with Her Strength Coaching.
I'm Leandra. Leandra's Integrative Wellness.
There we go. And anyways, this month we're happy to have you here because this is big weekend. It's Easter weekend. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times during Easter, before Easter, people that celebrate Lent, a lot of times they give up things. And some people just do it anyways. I think a lot of people just eat, regardless, it's one of those times for, hey, let's give something up just to, kind of be a little bit healthier or to start doing something. It's always been a starter stop. So when I was younger, I used to give up candy. That was my go-to. I ate a lot of candy when I was young. And then on Easter, I'd have this bowl and I'd have all the candy that I was saving and I was all excited. And usually that's what ends up happening is a lot of people will give up something that's bad. I've had friends that give up alcohol. My dad used to give up alcohol the entire time. It was the best time ever. But a lot of times if you don't realize what you're giving up, the things that you're giving up are things that are what we're going to talk about this month is inflammation. They're inflammatory foods. A lot of times that's what it is. So candy, sugars, alcohols, all those are inflammatory foods. So today what we want to talk about is inflammation in the body. So remember, inflammation isn't all that bad. It's actually your body's natural defense mechanism system. But when it's chronic, that's when it becomes bad. Mm-hmm. So when it's working against you instead of for you, we don't want that. That's when you get the achy joints and all the puffiness. You're going to feel that stubborn weight gain, fatigue, joint pain, brain fog, hormonal imbalance. Chronic inflammation can be a root cause of something going on. There are other ways that you're getting inflammation that are good, okay? But chronic inflammation is what's causing us to get sick. That's one of the reasons that a lot of times we end up getting sick. So today we're going to break it down into simple real-life ways and give you some actionable steps so that you can start immediately using them to help with any chronic inflammation. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about what inflammation actually is, how it impacts your body, foods that heal versus harm, how exercise, rest, and recovery, how they can help you, and some supportive tools, including some of your favorite items from doTERRA.
Yes.
And so let's get on with this.
So what is inflammation? We have a couple different types of inflammation. We have acute inflammation, which, you sprain your ankle, it inflames, it's trying to heal. That is the healing process of that issue. Even if you get a cut, there is inflammation there to send a signal through the body to start, clotting blood, send white blood cells, and be able to start reforming the skin. Chronic inflammation, on the other hand, is a wildfire that doesn't shut off and it is harmful. And this chronic inflammation can feel a bunch of different ways. A lot of times it's chronic pain.
Joint pain.
It could be just like inflamed in the belly. You just feel like you have weight that you just can't get off. And that can be inflammation.
A lot of belly bloating.
If you've ever heard of wheat belly, that's a huge thing that has to do with inflammation. And
leaky gut.
Leaky gut is, yes, a big one. Edema that sets into the limbs, especially into the feet and the ankles and the legs. If you're more of a sedentary lifestyle, that edema that is an inflammation. And the body triggers inflammation when you get injured, like I was saying, exposed to toxins, you eat inflammatory foods, or you're under chronic stress. And the problem today, what is the problem today? It's that most of us are living in a constant low-grade inflammatory state. And the stress that we have to deal with does not help reduce that inflammation. It's not just about what we're putting into our bodies or getting injured. It is also about how we are addressing life. How are we reacting to things? How happy are we? Blaming everybody else for stuff? that creates inflammation on its own. I feel like, especially if you already have it, it's going to just make things worse.
Yeah, you're not helping
allowing you healing.
Yeah.
So some simple impacts, this slowly impacts your health in a lot of different ways. So instead of dieting, we definitely, so how can I add more anti-inflammatory foods into the day?
Yes. So there's a lot of other things that we can do besides that, because there's a lot of different portions of our life that we talk about. It's a whole body wellness journey. So one of the things is exercise and inflammation. Okay, when you exercise, you are absolutely causing inflammation, but it's the good inflammation. So exercise, but exercise in a way, it can be an anti-inflammatory, but you've also got to have the right balance. So if you are over exercising, people that are over exercising and thinking, oh my gosh, I got to work out every single day, you're causing inflammation all the time. So you're not allowing your body to rest and recover. So when you exercise, again, it's an anti-inflammatory only when it's done correctly. So you want to do strength training 2 to 4 times a week. That's it. It doesn't have to be hours on end either. You can do 20 minutes of strength training. I have a 10-minute trainer that's 10 minutes. It's just allowing your body to kind of, because when we're exercising, what are we doing? We're breaking down the muscle. We're causing all these little tears in our muscles that need to repair. So that's going to be inflamed for a little bit. That's where we get that soreness, and then we have to fuel it properly. So you want to make sure that you're allowing time in between your workouts to allow your body to heal and recover. You want to walk every day. That is one of the things, is you have your regular exercise routine, 2 to 4 days of strength training. And then you want to make sure that on top of that, you're walking. I always tell people, instead of, if you don't want to count the steps, I mean, some people don't still have, like a step counter, or it's on your phone, it's on your watches. I have an Oura Ring and a Fitbit. I do it all over the place. And it's fun for me to kind of gauge the differences in it. But there are different reasons. Sometimes they're fun, but remember, these are just tools. So what I usually say is walk 20 to 30 minutes a day. And that could be combined. It doesn't mean like, okay, you got to go straight out and walk. It really doesn't take long to do that. If you can do a 10-minute walk in the morning, a 10-minute walk at lunchtime, 10-minute walk in the evening, you've got that walking in. And that's going to help you relax, especially because you're outside in nature. I always say, just go out there. If you're going to listen to something calming, listen to nature, look around, breathe, deep breaths in. You want to do low impact cardio. None of this hardcore stuff, okay? That is really going to increase the cortisol, which increases your inflammation. So you want to do low impact stuff like, yoga or Pilates, or, those are kind of not really like cardio, but those are other things that you want to add to it as far as low impact. But doing some lighter stuff, if you want to go do some Zumba, great, go do Zumba, but don't make that like the only kind of cardio exercise. You want to do more low impact, like HIIT training, where you do something for 30 seconds and then you take a break, and then you do
that's
something
what I was
else.
just thinking. Some
and
HIIT
you
classes, but they don't have to be hour long.
And they don't have
classes.
to. The classes I teach at Crunch literally are 30 minutes. We do a cardio sculpt, and it is with strength. It is with weights. We're using weights the entire time. And then we do 3 minutes of a strength, and then we do a 1-minute cardio burst.
Yeah.
And then we'll do that like 6 times, right? And that's it. And then the other class I teach is it more of a circuit. So there's 6 stations, a different apparatus on it. And then we do it 45 seconds, 15-second break. We do it 3 times. Nice. So those are kind of things that you want to do 30 minutes. You don't need to do a full hour. Some of these are just too much on your body. So too much exercise, overtraining can actually increase the inflammation, especially if you're under eating. So a lot of people will do these hours on hour, everyday workouts, and they're under eating. If you're under eating 1,300 calories a day, even on the days you don't exercise, or the days you exercise, you should never drop below 1,300 calories. If you do, you need to just add food. And a lot of times it's good. People are going to find it hard when they're trying to eat super clean. So don't feel like you have to eat super clean all the time, because that requires a lot more food. And it's harder to get it in. So, but there's a lot of things that you can eat that you will go over that are actually going to help you get the nutrition that you need. So you want to make sure you're not under eating, especially, I always say, the day before you exercise and the day of, because the day before your body's utilizing that energy for the workout. So if you feel like you get up in the morning and you exercise and you feel like you didn't have enough oomph, think about, what did you eat the day before? Did you eat enough?
Right.
And that will determine, and then try it and just try that one.
Yeah, definitely.
And you're not recovering. Again, recovery days. You just walk. You do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, your workouts. That's kind of what we do. And then Tuesday, Thursday, you could do something else on the other days. And you just want to walk, get some walking and allow your body to recover, because it's going to build up stronger. If you keep break, you just keep breaking it down, when is it ever going to get stronger? So if you do notice, that you're getting weaker, you've got a lot of inflammation, take a week off. I always tell people, just take a week off. But if you're under eating, you're going to increase inflammation. If you're not recovering and your stress is already high. So if you lead a stressful life, a lot of people will be like, I have to go to the gym because I'm all stressed out. Well, guess what? Now you're adding more stress, because
sometimes just do the meditation.
Sometimes just do the lower. You're super stressed out for the day. Don't go feeling like you have to do some ground pounding workout.
I do understand people, if they're stressed, okay, they need to run, they need to run it off or whatever, but that's not always.
You don't want to do that
when it's always happening.
Exactly. You can go for a run, and there's a lot of runners out there that, they that's just their thing. But if they're training for a specific activity, absolutely, you have to do that. But then they also have to figure out their recovery.
Well, that's what I used to do. Is like, if I was stressed, I would just go run, and sometimes it would be like 6-7 mile runs, and then it's like I'm still so inflamed.
And then
I was
right
just
after,
hurting all the time.
So it's like, even if you go and run like that, what do you want to do after that? Really stretch. Really take some time to just allow that calm down. Like the next day, go, okay, today I'm just going to take it lighter. But so you watch what you're doing, your exercise, how much you're doing. If you're noticing how you're feeling, your joints are hurting more, your muscles are just not recovering, then we need to give it some time. You need to give it fuel so that it can recover and ease. And we'll tell you what anti-inflammatory foods.
So, and it is something that's easily overlooked, when you want to rest, recover, and the stress, and this, so you cannot out-eat or out-exercise chronic stress. Exactly what we were just talking about. You can't outdo it, because it's always going to be there.
Your mind doesn't know the difference.
So you want to make sure you're getting enough good quality sleep. If you feel like you're an insomniac, get support. We can help you, or you can go whatever medical route you want. I feel like holistic practices are the best way to start off. And if you need more drastic measures after you've exhausted some certain things, then maybe go that route. But you want to make sure you're sleeping well, your nervous system regulation. So there's like the meditation, taking the quiet time, not always having something on in the background that's just distracting you. Be inward, go inward for yourself, take care of yourself, and manage daily stress. Listen to a podcast that helps with stress levels. Listen to the sounds of nature. Go outside, get some sunlight. Sunlight is so underrated, just like walking. People need the sun. We need the sun.
Just go out there. Like a lot of in the mornings, I like to sit outside and, I'll either have my coffee or whatever and eat outside in the sun just for a little bit, just before I start my day, in complete silence. You don't want to wake up and then grab your phone and start flipping through, and all you see is a bunch of crap going on in the world, and then now you're waking up with stress. Now you're adding more stress. So it's kind of like you really want to wake up because your cortisol levels are higher in the morning. So you want to wake up and do something more peaceful. And you want to just sit. Sometimes just go sit outside for 5-10 minutes in just complete silence, or lie on the ground. I do that sometimes. It's funny to see a different perspective. Like if you just lie on the ground in a different room, in the closet, and it's just like in the weirdest places. I'm like, okay, and it's just, it's weird. It's like, it just kind of, I don't know, it just kind of mellows you out and kind of, and they say grounding yourself outside. Go outside in the grass when the grass is nice, and barefoot.
Touch grass.
Barefoot. Go sit outside. Go
as long as there's not Roundup on it.
I know.
You don't want that
it's not all
into your
brown
body.
and prickly right now.
And the other thing I was just going to mention is the sun in the morning has the highest red light rays. So, that's really good for you.
That's why they say get outside first thing in the morning. Within, like, they always say, like, I know everybody's schedules are different, but like within the first hour of light, just sit out there for a little bit. Go, what I do, this is funny. So my dog is not real happy with me sometimes because his dog bed, it's got one of those big ones, a big dog bed, right? And it sits right by the sliding glass door in the house, and the sun comes in. And I literally have just put a blanket on it and lied in the dog bed because it's so warm. because the sun's coming, especially if it's cool outside. And I'll just sit there, and then he comes and sits next to, and he's just looking at me like, serious?
Why are you on my bed?
Why are you on my bed? But it's comfortable. If you've ever sat in a dog bed, they're pretty comfortable. And but it's funny because I'm like, that's one of the things I was talking to Jeff about. I said, we really need to have a sunroom. My mother had a sunroom, and she loved it. And every time I go home, I always like sitting in that room because it's just warm and the sun comes through. And yeah, so just take that, I'll open the door up and just sit right there. My desk is actually right next to the sliding thing, so it comes right in my face.
Yeah, and it can help metabolism. It can help with hormones, vitamin D, a lot of gut health, and immune function, making sure that your cortisol levels are at a good level. And that can be hard. You might want to go get blood tested. You might want to see what your levels are at, but it can change on a daily basis. It
does. Because you wake up in the morning with it higher, and throughout the day it shifts. So I think there's like a spit test. Or there's some sort of one that you test your cortisol like throughout the day.
Okay.
I think there's something like that. I know there was a hormone thing.
I would think that if you're in a chronic inflammatory response, that cortisol is just going to be high all the time. And you're not going to be sleeping. Yeah. So that's going to be a huge indicator. Over time, it's linked to things like weight gain, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and autoimmune conditions. So we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to take care of ourselves, reduce the inflammation, and just be kind to yourself. You know, we can't just always be beating ourselves up like, oh, why can't I do this? Or why can't my body feel like this? Or why can't I have that?
Yeah, the more you do negative self-talk like that, the more you're actually causing issues. It's kind of crazy how your brain-body connection, it's like what you're saying up here is going to affect all of this.
Absolutely.
And so it makes a difference. Like she was saying, the weight gain, the type 2 diabetes, all these diseases, they start with like the number one reason people go to the doctor is stress. Yeah. And then a lot of the reason for the stress is their bodies are or that's part of it is their bodies are inflamed. Well, doctors, typical, our regular doctors don't really look at that stuff.
Right.
They're kind of looking at the symptoms.
Yeah.
They'll just look at the symptoms and that's it. They're not looking for, and they're putting a Band-Aid on it. They're not really looking at the cause. And that's why, like she was saying, holistic and homeopathic practitioners really get into the root cause of it. So they're going to kind of go, okay, this is what this is in trying some of the different ways of alleviating it through things that we can do as far as exercise, nutrition first before we start adding in medications.
Yeah, that brings up an interesting story for me right now because I have a client who has been coming to see me, and she went on a cruise. She's a little bit of an older lady, sitting at the desk all the time working. Yeah. And that wreaks havoc on your body, just having to sit all day long and extended periods of time. That's smoking. But she went on a cruise, came back, had the PRP injection in her knee. So then a lot of blood was taken. And then next thing she knows, she's got a blood clot.
Oh, no.
So pulmonary embolism, she had to go to the hospital for. And very stressed out, came back to see me. And we talked about it. We narrowed the things down. And that's what I love about being a holistic practitioner, because I help people look at the big picture, find out what could actually be the culprit. And we really did narrow it down, why this happened. And, it was most likely because it could have started with a sedentary lifestyle, then high altitude and flying, going on the cruise, stressing the body out, eating lots of inflammatory things, going back high altitude, coming back to this altitude, getting all that blood taken out, then an injection, and the stress of the body. It just created this perfect storm for her. And really narrowing it down, hey, this is probably the issue and it can be reversed. It helped her stress level immensely. So then the next time she came back to see me, higher spirits, feeling good. She's on the right medicines, of course. Yeah. And so she could have continuously been completely stressed out about this, or on this healing.
It would have been
positive
snowballing.
Mindset.
Yeah, this if she had not sought that kind of help in trying to figure out let's go back. A lot of times, there's very little that a doctor will actually talk to you about. It's they're kind of going with what's going on right now.
Right.
But as a holistic practitioner, you go back and you start looking at, okay, what have you been doing? Let's look at everything going on and take that whole whole picture. And that's going to make a big difference, because a lot of times it is starting with, okay, so what has your eating been like? I have ladies that come to me. I have a couple of new ladies that, and it's like they're stuck. They're just stuck. And, they're like, yeah, they exercise, but what you want though today, she told me, she goes, yeah, I'm exercising, but it's what I'm doing isn't working. Well, it's time to switch it up. We got to take a look at what are you doing? How are you eating? And I'm always asking, the question is always going to be about your nutrition.
Right.
Because absolutely your nutrition is going to determine how your body shapes. And then we have to look at, okay, if you're doing that and you're pretty good on track on that, then it's like, where's your hormones at? Where are all these other things at? How's your, the inflammation, the stress? There's a lot of things that you have to look at. And that's why it is we go a little bit more in depth of looking at your nutrition, your stress levels, how you're sleeping, how you're exercising, how you're recovering. Those are like the huge 5 areas that really matter. And it's not like throwing it all at you at once. It's like, okay, let's take one thing and work on that and then see how you do. It's not like, okay, here's a big, here's a whole list of things to do.
Pantry and be like, okay, redo your entire life.
Yeah.
That's just stressful in itself.
Yeah. And one of the best things to do is, and we'll get into some foods here. So, some of the signs of your body that your body is inflamed is you feel puffy and bloated in the belly. Your face is feeling puffy. Your hands, you ever wake up and your hands are just tight. Like, why are my rings all tight? That's inflammation. You're always tired, even after sleeping. So you get up and you feel like you've slept. Well, you probably didn't sleep as well, for one, and you're still tired. So you probably, your cortisol levels are just through the roof. You're not sleeping well. Your serotonin is too low, which you need to be higher at night to sleep well. Your joints ache. You have frequent headaches. You notice that. That's not it shouldn't be a common thing. You don't get a headache just because somebody pissed you off. It's not really naturally, but if you're getting, that could be one, but it's over time. If you're having a lot of headaches, you notice that. Struggle to lose weight despite doing, like I said, everything right. People think they're doing everything right. And I will be honest, like most of the people that come to me, they think they're doing everything right. And when you start looking at it, the answers they're giving me are answers that I'm not really wanting to hear, but they think I want to hear it. Oh, I'm not eating a lot, or I'm drinking a lot of water. And then we find out, they think, one of these a day
exactly. You have
is
to
a lot of water.
Amount. That's why I like to do food diaries for at least 5 days.
So people think I'm drinking water all the time. I'm going to the bathroom. I'm peeing. Probably not, and numbers don't lie. We have, a scale. I have this scale in that Renfo scale, which kind of, and it's not perfect. Again, it's not perfect. It's a tool. But if you're using it on a regular basis, it's going to measure your water, your protein, your subcutaneous fat, your BMI, all the measures, right? If I'm looking at your numbers and it says your protein is here, but you're saying you're eating a lot of protein, there's something going on. If you're saying you're drinking a lot of water and you're below, you should be between 40 and 60%, actually more, but that's kind of less like a generic number because our bodies are 75%, up to 75% water. If you're under 40% hydrated, then that means you're not drinking enough water, even if you tell me I'm drinking. So these are little things that we all look at going, these are the things, how about we start adding another cup of water? Simple things, try that. You would be surprised at how much adding in water will change your life. I've had people come to me and go, oh my gosh, I have so much more energy. I feel so much better. And all of that. And, it is looking at your pee and see what's going on.
And for every cup of coffee,
another drink of water. Same thing with alcohol. Yeah. If you're drinking a lot of alcohol and you say you're drinking a lot of water, I guarantee you are not. Because if you're drinking, 3 or 4 drinks, if you're drinking, in the evening having wine, you better have another glass of water for every single, even more, because it's hydrating.
Yeah.
So alcohol and caffeine dehydrate you. So it actually, you have to bubble up even more.
Even if you're a smoker.
Yeah, smokers, more water. A lot of these things cause your body to dehydrate. At night when you're sleeping, you're dehydrating just sleeping about half a cup of water. That's why I always say, wake up in the morning and chug a glass of water. 8 ounces is not that much. It's like, just don't take a sip. I'm talking like chug. Then throughout the day, have your water with you.
Mm-hmm.
Again, struggling to lose weight despite everything. Skin tissues like acne, redness in your, eczema,
Mm-hmm.
all those
Rosacea
skin rosacea. That's what I was going to say.
Mm-hmm.
Echinacea, rosacea. You have those. Yes, there are some things that you can use to help them, but how about looking at where you're at with your inflammation? Because a lot of those are caused by that. If you notice, I'm burping because I'm drinking that lemon water, but a lot of people, like, we have more skin illnesses and skin issues and all these other issues nowadays. And a lot of that is because of the inflammation in our bodies of all the junk and the processed foods. So we are going to start talking about that. Absorption. We were just talking about food because if you think about, I always tell people, like, if you look at a box of, I don't know, mac and cheese, let's say, right? You take a box of mac and cheese and you're looking at the ingredients and you can't understand them. That means they're chemicals. All right. These are chemicals that they're using to create food. So we call that frankenfood, and it's food. Yeah. So it is. So think of what those are doing. The preservatives. If they have to put a preservative in food, what is that doing to your body?
Well, and then the other thing is that we all can't eat all organic all the time, which I understand. But our farming practices, because of the soil, the depletion of the soil nutrients, farmers have had to implement actual minerals into the soils. Normally it's potassium, nitrogen, and phosphates, but we need trace minerals too. So if we're not getting the trace minerals that are supposed to be in our food, because our food is actually 40% less nutritious than it was three decades ago or three generations ago.
It's just overusing all the pesticides.
If we're only getting these three major minerals, we need trace minerals. So that's where supplementation is important, or eating organic, making sure we're washing our food really well, I use white vinegar, lemon oil, and filtered water, and you just soak your produce in there for like 5 minutes and then rinse it really well. And that's going to give you a better chance of not getting exposed to like glyphosate, Roundup, pesticides, herbicides, because those, when they get into our body and we're overtaxed by those toxins, that reduces our ability to produce glutathione. And glutathione is the body's like one of the major antioxidants. And we need antioxidants to reduce our inflammation. And our liver produces the glutathione. So if we're not detoxifying our liver properly, then we can't detoxify our entire body properly.
Yeah, and that's a huge one. So it's, we were just talking before we even started this about the liver. That's your filter. That's what's filtering everything in. And that is one of the peptides that we have, is the glutathione, that you could start, because you need, if your body's not producing it, you need somehow to clean that and detoxify your liver out. So a lot of practitioners will look right at that first. And it's like a lot of people have, they're like, well, I don't drink a lot. That's what they'll be thinking, that it's just alcohol. It's not. It's foods.
Yeah, a lot of people have fatty livers and they don't even know why.
They don't even drink.
Exactly.
I've known people that are like, I have fatty liver. Well, you get a test. It'll tell you. And that is something that you absolutely, lemon water is actually something that's really good to help defatitize. It does. It helps to. There's been study that was showing like lemon water. If you just do lemon water, you'll reduce the fat around the liver.
That's great.
Or if you you'll start feeling and that if your body's not filtering out all the toxins, then that's when you're going to start feeling it. So one of the areas that a lot of practitioners look at is the liver, and more than just the liver function test. There's more to it.
And it's not about the function of the liver a lot. It's about the capacity of what the liver can take in and do for you. And so with that, we want to reduce the amount of processed foods we have, refined sugars, seed oils like soybean, corn, and canola, and then excess of alcohol, highly processed carbohydrates. We want to try to stay away from that stuff. Yes, and these foods create stress inside the body and keep that inflammatory fire burning constantly.
You want to douse it.
Yes, we want to put it out with whole foods, put it out with good organic stuff as much as you can, put it out with stress management techniques. Anti-inflammatory foods that you can focus on are
healthy fat. So some of the things that you can add, and one of the things, it's not necessarily taking away all, the things you love.
Moderation.
But if you think about adding in instead of eliminating, it's so much easier because once you add in these foods, they're just going to start taking the place of other things. So if you think about healthy fats, using, eating avocado this morning, I just cut up an avocado and I'll eat a quarter of it and I just eat it right out of there.
Yep.
And it's going to help me feel a little bit fuller, and then I had made, what did I make? I made like a protein pancake, like a paleo pancake. And then I just, I had that. And so you have your avocado oil, olive oil. Remember, that's going to be at low heat. So you want to use like more of the coconut oil or the other fats that go along with it is the nuts and the seeds. You're going to get, start eating. I just have like a bunch of nuts I put on the counter so I can just munch on. To get your mixed nuts, you're going to get the healthy fats with that. Fatty fish, eat more salmon, sardines. I love sardines. A lot of people don't like sardines. Wild cod.
Or wild caught fish.
Wild caught fish. What about the other fish?
Because farm fish is a lot of times fed food that is dyed, especially salmon. So that's how they
tilapia,
get dyed.
Watch out with the tilapia because tilapia comes from a lot of the farms. And even though it's cheap, right? So people go and buy a lot of tilapia.
Sometimes sustainably sourced can be good, but you have to know where your source is coming from. And I would say just stay away from anything dyed, anything that has the food colorings in it, even if it's just from the food that the fish is eating. But high omegas. Cod is great.
The cod, the salmon.
Just go fishing.
Sardines. Go get all your fish on your own track. I love sardines.
I like sardines.
I love
too,
sardines. People, there's not a lot that do, but even my daughter likes them, which is funny. But my dad used to eat sardines, and we just put onions in them. You chop up onions, but I don't like eating them on crackers too. So, leafy greens. Lots of dark leafy greens. Your spinach, your kale. What's that? Arugula. What's the red one? There's the red.
Chard. There's Swiss chard.
Those darker leafy greens they're stronger in flavor. They absolutely are stronger in flavor, but they are better for you. They're those, so you want to have those. Put your, she made a shake this morning. What did you put in your shake?
I put organic blueberries, strawberries, a banana. I have a good protein that is actually grass-fed beef organ based. I actually really like it. It's a new one. It's called Organized. And then, because doTERRA did away with their protein, and I was so sad.
Yeah, I have to look at that.
So I had to find a good one.
I'm like on a path.
And I'm really happy with this one. And then I did a little bit of Greek yogurt, and I used coconut milk.
Okay. Yeah, see? You can make, and that's like a full meal if you sit there and listen to everything. If she laid it all out here, you'd be like, that's a lot of food. Well, not so much. It's in a cup, blend it up and drink that. And you're getting all that nutrition in your body. So you add in your greens, you add in all those other things, and it's giving you the minerals and the vitamins that we are lacking in. And you can do it in a smaller dose instead of feeling like you're eating all day long. I wouldn't say, drink that every day, all day long.
It's
but
not necessarily
it's great for
a
breakfast.
Food meal replacement, but it's a really good.
It's a good
have before your meal if you're hungry, and
If you're in a hurry in the mornings, you can What I used to do is I would bag them. So put a little bit of everything in there. So you take it out and you just dump it in. You can buy them at Costco. Has the bags too with everything in it. You just open it up. I'm like, make your own. So you just get bags and throw them in the freezer. Grab one out and then throw it in the blender and add your liquid. And anything else I'll add chia. I just go through my cabinet and just and find stuff. And
stuff.
There's some fiber, there's some this.
And then organic berries are way better.
Berries, there's certain things the clean 15 or the dirty 13 and the clean 15.
Okay, there you go.
So think about it. The things you really want to focus on getting organic is if you're gonna eat the whole thing, like an apple, strawberry, things that are more porous. If you're gonna eat a banana, you don't have to buy it organic because you're gonna take that off for the most part. So things that you're gonna really be removing the thicker
vegetables don't necessarily have to be
organic
either.
No, there's some that are just not. There's some things that you don't have to worry about. So you can always look that up. But berries. Strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, all the berries, those are really good. You can eat those. I always tell my ladies, you're free to eat those all day long. So get the triple berry mix, the frozen one from Costco. Love that. And I get the cherries are good for inflammation because if you have a cherry shake at night, if you have them at night, it actually helps you sleep better. So I'll just take a chocolate protein and cherries.
If you do keto, they say that strawberries are too high in sugar, but you just have to kind of determine what's good for you. If you have diabetes or blood sugar issues, eat some fruit and then see how your blood sugar reacts in the next 15 minutes or so. And then if you know that it's spiking, then maybe just back off of that specific one.
They were just talking about using a glucometer. Like everybody should get the glucometers just to try it out and see how your body changes throughout the day, because it shows you the up and downs and levels on how food affects you. Right. And those are pretty interesting, and you can get them they're not too expensive anymore. I think they've gotten more popular.
Okay.
Spices, turmeric, ginger, cinnamon,
cardamom is great.
So there's a lot of spices. We always say,
cayenne. Cayenne is good for the heart.
Cayenne, and I'm what my plan is. I decided I was going to start having the golden tea, golden milk. So that's the turmeric, and it really is good. People think it sounds weird because if you use turmeric, right, it's spicy. It's more for the Asian or foods, if you're adding it in, it's like strong curries and stuff like that. But if you actually make it correctly with like the honey and the spices and the cinnamon,
that's what I like to get at coffee shops.
Yeah, there's a place downtown that makes a shake. The golden, it's so good. And it's yummy, and it's like one of those things that, you may love it or hate it. It's kind of going to be one of those, you might have to take some time it's a bit, I think it's one of those, like, you have to build up to really, I liked it. Lean protein, your chicken, your eggs, your grass-fed beef. You get eggs from
Leandra. I have eggs.
I even had my other client came in this morning. She goes, "Oh, we have eggs," and I was like, "Oh, God, I just bought some." Yes. But if you can get, eggs from somebody who has chickens, farmed eggs, they're gonna be much higher quality.
From the farm too,
the chicken, you're gonna get better quality. Remember, chicken. Be cautious when you buy chicken. Because if you're buying the big fat chickens, guess what they do to that? They actually insert it with salt, saline. They stick a thing in there to make it. Chicken breasts should not be that big.
Right.
They should only be about like 4 ounces. That would be a natural chicken breast.
I have a chicken that I butchered in my freezer from when I had roosters, because I'm not supposed to have roosters, and it's pretty skinny compared to the ones that you get in the store, because they're all plumped up with solution.
They put a solution in them to plump them up, and what is that doing? It's going into your body. They just do it to make mass production and sell more. So don't be buying those special deals with that big pack. I used to do it myself. The big pack with the big chicken breasts, and then you had to cut them in half, and guess what? They're dry. They're a lot more dry because they're putting in saline in them. So those aren't even tasting very good. So, all right, so let's move on to natural support tools. What can we use?
Yeah, okay, so there are some really great things that you can incorporate from doTERRA into your lifestyle. Like we have turmeric, we have the oil, and we have it as a dual encapsulated supplement. And what that means is that they use the root and the essential oil, and that creates a highly absorbable product, because we have a hard time absorbing the curcumins and the those things from the turmeric. So doTERRA has created a dual encapsulation that it really does help absorb. It's the best turmeric that I've ever tried, and I've tried lots of things over the years. And it's a powerful anti-inflammatory, and it helps with joint health and recovery. And then we have a great omega complex that is sourced from the Nordic seas, not farmed. They're highly tested for heavy metals and anything like that. And it's made with orange essential oil. What that does is it helps.
Fishy.
Yeah, it doesn't taste fishy. And you can actually just pop the capsule in your mouth instead of swallowing it if you wanted. It helps reduce diastolic blood pressure and resting heart rate. And guess what? Great news this morning. My husband has been taking all these supplements, and he's been using the LifeWave patch, and he has always gone in and had high blood pressure. He went to the doctor this morning. It's 125/73.
Wow.
So the doctor's like, okay, half your medication again, half it again. And every time that he's gone in the last 2 years, okay, reduce your medication. Yeah. So we are super excited about that. So they work, people, and you want a good, highly absorbable supplement, then the omegas are amazing from doTERRA. It helps heart health, it helps inflammation.
It helps with one of the things about
cognition.
Omegas is when I was pregnant, I was taking a lot. I wasn't overdosing, but I was taking a double dose of omegas because it helps with the fetal development of the brain. And so it actually helps you when you're pregnant. It's a good supplement to still continue to take. But it also has been recommended that if you have kids that are in contact sports, to help with concussions.
Oh, yes.
So that is one of the things they say. Your kids, if they are in a contact sport, absolutely get them on a very good good dose of omegas, because that will help them to reduce, because what happens in a concussion, it's inflammation.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have them on an omega and good supplements, then the chance of them getting concussions could be potentially less.
Exactly.
So that's one thing.
We have another great thing. It's the Deep Blue, which a lot of people know. They have the Deep Blue rub and you put it on your body. But we have a polyphenol complex, which is high in anti-inflammatories. Yes, and it helped me get off of over-the-counter pain medicine. And it's an amazing product to help with that chronic discomfort. And it's great for sore muscles, joints. It's perfect for after workouts. We have a stress blend for adaptive.
Well, that's one of the things I want to try it for, is because I have like some arthritis in my back and issues on my right side. And so we were just talking about, because I remember she had just mentioned, I use Deep Blue, the topical. But when she brought that up, I was like, so I kind of want to see how that might help with some of the joint stuff and my arthritis.
I do not do well traveling normally because I've had chronic pain most of my life, but when I had my Deep Blue on this trip to Ecuador recently, I just took 2 every morning before we went out and did our activities, and I was golden. I mean, I felt good the whole time. I really didn't have much pain. And the most I had pain was when we had to sit so long when we were traveling, like on the bus and stuff. And that was really just more of a discomfort. It wasn't even really that bad. So it definitely makes a difference. And if you're dealing with a lot of stress, check out the adaptive supplement and essential oils. It helps with that stress response and emotional balance. And lemon oil, like Victoria was saying, it helps detoxify, it helps the liver, it helps support emotional, it helps with that daily water. It's like water, all that water retention that you're holding on to, lemon helps to decrease that. So my client who I was talking about before, how she had the metabolism, I told her, get on lemon water. So she bought some lemon oil from me and she's been using it. The next week she came in, her edema was like half. So been doing really good with that. And I have a really great 90-day reset, and that helps to detox the liver, the colon, the kidneys, then more into the gut. We want to make sure that all the systems are working in sync with each other, having homeostasis, decreasing that internal stress and inflammation, and working through the body's proper detoxification pathways. So if that's something that you want to learn more about, let me know. I have a school platform called 90-Day Wellness Reset. Yeah, so there's so many tools that you can use.
Yeah, so hopefully you can take away some information from all that we've given you, from all the information we've given you, take away a few tools that you can actually start utilizing. Maybe some tips, things that you can start changing up. If you've noticed any of these symptoms, let us know. You can reach me at Victoria McCullough Strength Coaching on my website. My website, or you can find fit and healthy over 40, fit and fabulous over 40. That's it. That's my group. That's my group on Facebook. Fit and fabulous over 40. I'm like, I know I'm going to get that. And so Fit and Fabulous over 40 on Facebook. You can find me there. If you have any questions I have an in-person class out here in Falcon. If you're in the local area, you can come Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 5 a.m. and hop in, try a class, see if you like it. Also do online coaching, nutrition and fitness coaching. So if you can't come to class, create you an online workout, or you can come in. We can meet one time a month, and then the rest of your workouts are online. That's how you can find me. So hopefully some of these tips and tricks will be beneficial for you, and you can find Leandra.
Yes, well, just search me up, Leandra's Integrative Wellness. I am on the internet, I'm on YouTube, I have the website. I have the school platform, SKOOL, and, be consistent. Take one small step at a time. Make it simple.
Even if it's just
start with one thing and make it consistent. It can take 30 to 40 days to create a habit.
Yeah.
So give yourself grace, give yourself time, and know that you're on the right path. And find the support that you need, for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. Like she said, to create a habit can take some time. But if you're using some sort of alternative methods like doTERRA or any kind of, like I have LEMD, the peptides now. I'm doing. You gotta give it, people will think, 30 days in, it didn't work. No, you gotta give it like 90 days. If you gotta stick to it to 90 days. If you can do that, you need somebody to help you along. And that's what we're here to do, is to help coach you along, to encourage you. You hit a wall, you give us a call, we talk about it, and we just keep pushing through. And that's the biggest thing, is accountability and coaching through these issues is really going to help you, because if you didn't think about it, where are you now? What have you done? Is it working? If it's not working, then what are you going to do about it next? Because if you don't change what is going on, what you're doing currently, you're just going to keep seeing that same cycle.
Right.
So maybe it's time to take a step outside of that comfort zone and find a coach. Find somebody, whether it's us or somebody else that you know. Find somebody to kind of look and review at your what's going on. Sometimes, we both do free reviews of where you're at, and that might be eye-opening to go, well, it just takes a few tweaks here and there.
Yeah, and sometimes that's all it takes, is somebody to just take a big picture look at what you're dealing with, because when we're in it, when we're in that stress and we don't want to, maybe we're just not being honest with ourselves, or we don't see it like somebody else might see it, then you just need that somebody to take that outside of the box look for you. Yep. Add one anti-inflammatory meal a day. Mediterranean food is great.
I love doing
Indian food is great.
I make the Buddha bowls. There
you go.
It's a whole bunch of it. It's great for families too, because you're making your protein. You have your vegetables. You can have a bunch of vegetables, and then you have your grain, and then you have your toppings, and you just put it. Everybody can create what they like, and that is a great way, especially for families. If you have picky eaters, if they just want rice, fine, rice and a protein, and simple, easy, and they're ready-made. You can keep them in your refrigerator and grab and go.
Yeah.
So anyways,
go for a quick walk, go to bed earlier. Lots of different small shifts that you can take. So add a comment. Add a comment.
Please
what
tell
you're
us
going
what
to
you're
do.
doing. Yeah.
What is your first step to a healthier you? We would love to know. Thank you so much
for
for
joining us, and we'll see you next